Well, hello, 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 everybody. May God bless you. Much love. Remember, Jesus Christ is the only way to the Father. He had died and resurrected 3 days later for the remissions of sins, and he sits at the right hand of the Father. There is no other way. Jesus is the door. He is the gatekeeper. He is the shepherd to the sheep of this world. And my brothers and sisters, we have nothing to fear, for we are conquerors through Jesus Christ, through his blood, through his sacrifice that he had did for us, a death that we were worthy of, my friends. But we have some breaking news that has been going on throughout the world. Lots of news. It has been such a rapid amount in the past 3 years that it can almost throw us in an uproar and to be alarmed. But do not be alarmed, because Jesus is the King. And that's just the end of the story. He's the King. He's the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. But a Pentagon UFO chief says alien mothership is in our solar system, possibly. This is an opinion they had in a meeting, as we've been hearing about UFOs quite a bit in the past 3 years, especially since Space Force was opened up and a lot of UFO files have been coming out. Personally, I believe a big deception is about to come out from all of this. And we've been seeing a lot of signs in the sky and all types of things. So it wouldn't surprise me that if a huge deception from aliens, I don't believe anything that NASA has to say, but I do take what they say with a grain of salt. Because there is some things, like when they tell us that we're going to have a solar eclipse or something, these things do happen. But nevertheless, NASA does mean deception. So they're saying that there is a possibility that an extraterrestrial mothership and smaller probes may be visiting planets in our solar system, the head of the Pentagon's Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Research Office noted in a report shared on Tuesday of this week. An artificial interstellar object could potentially be a parent craft that releases many small probes during its close passage to Earth, an operational construct not too dissimilar from NASA missions, says Sean Kirkpatrick, director of the Pentagon's All Dominion Anomaly Resolution Office, wrote in a research report co-authored by Abraham Lebo, chair of the Harvard University Astronomy Department. So we've been seeing a lot of things come out, from UFO files to people having saying that they've had reports of being abducted and the Nephilim and all this. All I have to say is that there is so much distractions happening that it'd be the perfect time for the Pentagon and world leaders to bring in some type of UFO type of thing to send the people into a panic, to send them up into an uproar, and to keep their eyes off the prize. Now, let me tell you, all these links will be in a description. This is a pretty huge deal here between Iran and Saudi. They have just restored ties in a China brokered deal. The regional powerhouse Iran and Saudi Arabia agreed Friday to restore ties and reopen diplomatic missions in a surprise Chinese brokered announcement that could have wide range implications across the Middle East. If anybody keeps their eyes on the Middle East is in an uproar for years and continues to be in an uproar. France 24 reported that in a statement that the Shiite majority Iran and the mainly Sunni Muslim Saudi Arabia said that they could reopen embassies and missions within 2 months and implement security and economic cooperation deals signed more than 20 some odd years ago. This is Friday's announcement, which allows 5 days of previously unannounced talks in Beijing and several rounds of dialogue in Iraq and Oman. Caps a broader realignment in efforts to ease tensions in the region. Now, following talks, the Islamic Republic of Iran and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia have agreed to resume diplomatic relations and reopen embassies and missions within 2 months, said the joint statement, which was published by both countries' official media. We know that Saudi Arabia is the world's biggest oil exporter and that Iran has been pushing for a nuclear program for quite some time. We know that they want to take out, of course, Israel once this happens. There is a lot that has been going on over here. So the links are in the description if anybody wants to dig in deeper with this. Now, last Friday, we talked about this, how an Arizona school board had decided to get rid of Christian university backing within a school because they felt that it was like an indoctrination camp. Well, here's a little bit of a victory. Board members sued for religious discrimination after barring student teachers from Christian University. Here's a victory. In Arizona, Washington Elementary School District was sued for allegedly pushing on the religious rights of a Christian university after they terminated a partnership that's been going on for 11 years after multiple board members attacked them for their religious belief. This is a victory for people that believe in Jesus Christ. These people deserve to be sued. They do, because we get sued if we go against any type of religious background that any other faith has. So it's about time that somebody gets sued for the fact that they go against Christianity. So this is a victory. Now, I wanted to talk about this because we've seen in recent reports where I put up here where Joyce Myers got a tattoo telling people it's okay to get tattoos. We see that continually that the prosperity preaching in Hollywood always has a bad depiction of pastors and preachers. Shows like Walking Dead shows preachers that become murderers and killers. Well, this post apocalyptic Last of Us depicts a Christian preacher as a crazed cannibal villain spewing out Bible verses. Wait till you hear some of the stuff. If you're a Christian and you watch Last of Us, you should have a discernment to say that I should never watch this again. This is a post-apocalyptic thing based off a video game that was created over a decade ago. According to Fox News, the group is led by a man named David, a Christian preacher, and also includes James and Troy, the latter of whom cites Bible verses that supports his cannibalistic actions. David, the show's evil preacher, even attempts to rape a young girl, Ellie, a protagonist, and cites Bible verses that justify doing this. Here's the Bible verse he spews that says it's okay for sexual assault. And this is in the TV show, 1 John 4:18. There is no fear in love. So right before this preacher in the show is trying to sexually assault somebody, he recites this saying that the Bible allows this. This is pretty gruesome and disgusting. And if you are a born again, on fire Christian, this should totally send you in an anger, a righteous anger, not an anger that leads to sin, a righteous anger that you're disgusted with things like this that continue to happen. And we see that Hollywood pushes all the time that a pastor's supposed to be this way or that way or this way. If I was in some type of Last of Us type of thing as a pastor, I would rather die than eat a human being. I would rather die. I would rather be celibate for the rest of my life than to ever try to sexually assault somebody and use a Bible verse to back it up. See, people think that they're doing it just for entertainment and they're doing it in this, but God is going to hold them at a judgment throne and say, you portrayed a character that was supposed to be a man of God, but you're doing wicked things like this. This is the type of world we live in, my friends. Now, an Alaskan volcano that has been dormant for over 100 years, delivering ominous warning signs and significant unrest. This is a very huge volcano. It's been having quakes between 2.0s and 3.0s that have been bringing an uproar and possibly getting ready to have a soon eruption. We know that these always cause eruptions to happen when there is numerous earthquakes that happen around a volcano, or even lightning strikes have been known to hit a volcano and stir up the activity. But this volcano stands at 5,925 feet tall and is located in the western part, and there are no communities or structures there. But there is a town that's 65 miles away that could see ash fall if this happened. The last known eruption of this was in 1914, and the biggest threat would be to aircraft. So it's a mega super volcano that could potentially be ready. Now, on my Rumble channel, I will be posting a video that will show some inside footage of this stuff that I cannot share on YouTube. But 3 people were wounded, 1 critical, in a terror shooting in Tel Aviv. Some of the inside footage I've had from people that are out here, it's pretty. I mean, you're not going to see bloodshed and all that, but it is things that potentially YouTube could flag and not like it. But the terror attacks continue over here. And as we see nations that are against Israel and continue to come together, and more people are coming into Abraham Accords deal, terrorism has been a huge part of Israel's life, everyday life, that they deal with these things. Many nations deal with things like this, like Syria deals with their own type of inner terrorist acts, but we need to keep Israel in our prayers as the attacks around the Temple Mount and in Tel Aviv and all types of places, they're escalating and they're getting worse and worse and worse. Now, a couple updates on some of the earthquakes occurs. Of course, Turkey for the past 2 months has had some 20,000 some odd aftershocks, my friends, and they've still been at 2.4s and 3.4s. They've still been relatively huge, but we're seeing also still a bunch of earthquakes in diverse places. One of the most massive ones we had today was a 5.0 in the northern Pacific Ocean around Colombia. Now, Colorado also got hit with a 4.3 today. Tokyo, Japan, a 4.5. I'm not going to go through all these, but I'm going to go through a few. Japan had a 4.9 in another area. Now, there was another really significant one that we're going to scroll down to. There was in Papua New Guinea, there was a 5.0 that had hit earlier today at 9 p.m. their time, a 5.4 in Colombia, relatively huge. Afghanistan had a 4.5 today. And in the South Pacific Ocean, a 5.8. That's a pretty huge, and people had actually felt it outside of the ocean on the island. We always know that that can cause, of course, tsunamis. Now, remember we brought up the super volcano in Alaska. Well, here's the region of Alaska. They had a 4.0 and a 4.1 in that region that we're talking about. So they have been feeling this. Also in Peru, they had a 5.0 today. These relatively big earthquakes. Turkey had a 4.8. That is one of the biggest ones they've had in a while since the original big one they had a while back. We're continuing to keep our eyes on things like this. But the biggest thing that we're keeping our eyes on is Jesus Christ. And my brothers and sisters, we need to increase our prayer life, our reading life, our fellowship life. We need to read the Bible every single day. We need to pray every single day. We need to fellowship and not forsake the gathering together. There is a very crucial time we're living in where our faith needs to be strong. If anybody needs a personal Bible, do not feel hesitant to reach out to me, and I will mail a Bible out to you guys so people can have a physical Bible, because one of these days there might be an EMP or internet shut off. And if that's the way that you have your Bible, you won't have one anymore. We need to have physical copies along with highlighters and notebooks to always keep down notes and Bible verses that in particular touch us in a way that we write it down and we can jot back and look at it X amount of days later or even a year later from the time that we had it. I like to date the fact. Now, I'm going to put together a list of books that I've been studying for years that people might be encouraged to try to buy. And not meaning that I believe every type of theological thing from some of the books I've read, but they've helped me increase my knowledge and find places in Bible verses. And it's always good to take things from one another and to learn. Iron sharpens iron. So much love to you all. May God bless you all. Keep your heads up. I will not be live until Sunday, Lord willing, at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. We will be doing church. We will have a sermon called The Spiritual Mature and the Immature, because we need to have our spiritual maturity at a level that is acceptable to the Lord God Almighty in these days and ages we are in. We need to put away the immature things, and we need to be focused on what the fact of the matter is that we are in the final seconds, it seems like. But and people be like, hey, you're predicting something. Remember, God's timing is so much different than ours. A second can be so much longer in the eternity of heaven than it is on this earth. Much love to you all.